I'm happy to be part of this. I see a lot of experts here who have been doing a lot of work in this field. Uh, as already laid out, of course, in the Indo-Pacific region is quite an important region. As we all know, 64% of the world's population inhabit in this region. 60% of global GDP comes from this region. The diversity of this region is immense. And of course, when we think, the first thing that comes into Pacific is the tensions in the region, the geopolitical tensions in the region. But I think, as we have all seen, how COVID had an impact in terms of the global supply chains, particularly because, as we all know, 2/3 of the world's oil movement goes through this region. 1/2 of the container traffic goes through this region. 1/3 of the cargo moves through this region. There are various. I mean, the region is certainly very important, and that's why we see that a lot of partnership has also arisen in this region. We see, like last May, there's this Indo-Pacific Economic Forum of 14 countries with identified 4 pillars: trade, supply chains, infrastructure, and tax and anti-corruption has 4 pillars identified for it. There are various initiatives which are taken up at the country level, at the mini regional level, or at the Indo-Pacific wide levels. If we talk about the themes identified for the SUPIF network, climate change, energy transition, and global health system, I think these are very important themes which run across each and every country or the whole region in its polarity. Of course, climate change is a critical factor for all of these countries, and there are various initiatives undertaken for it. The challenges that are with it, and when I saw that the energy transition and health systems are there, these are again very important aspects of it. You would have seen initiatives like International Solar Alliance, which is like the launch in 2015, COP21 by Indian Prime Minister and French President in Paris. The alliance has actually become quite a well-organized international organization. It actually started as an organization only for countries within the tropics. It has been universalized since January 2021, and so far 114 countries have signed on to it. ISA is undertaking a lot of projects now in terms of solarization, various solar projects in various countries, including in Indo-Pacific. Another initiative, which is of course linked to disaster resilience, is CDRI, which is again an initiative by India, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, launched in September 2019 by our Prime Minister in New York. This is again got a lot of traction. There are 31 countries and 8 international organizations being members of this alliance. It also is quite relevant, particularly for the Pacific countries and various other countries which face the vagaries of nature. It has a very successful fellowship program undertaking a lot of studies on disaster resilience and things like that. So these are some of the initiatives undertaken by India. We have seen how we have tried to connect with the rest of the countries in the region. If you see looking both westward as well as eastwards, you have IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association, being launched, which is more of a west looking thing. Then you have we have this Look East policy of 1992, which was changed to Act East policy in 2015 by the Prime Minister of India, with an acronym we all know, SAGAR. SAGAR as in like Hindi word for ocean and security and growth for all in the region. And with all these perspectives, there are a lot of initiatives undertaken in this whole region. Unfortunately, of course, despite so many of such things happening, which is actually quite relevant to climate change, to economic development, sustainability, financial cooperation, and things like that, still, I think a lot of things needs to be done more on this, because the perception that comes out, as I said initially, and of course, Dr. Nilanjan also brought it out. It's the focus, has been on kind of geopolitical kind of thing, but I think it's more important that grouping like this, the initiative like this, can take a long way in kind of giving that real impact to the people and to the lives of the people in terms of access to energy, in terms of food security, fuel security, and like basically like SDG 1, SDG 5, of course, is another aspect where we need to have this gender empowerment. We need to work on all those SDGs. And there are challenges. This obviously we have seen various economies doing so well in this region. We have seen the rise of various countries in terms of their economic strength from pillar to pillar. But then there are countries who still are in the challenging phase. I think the focus for countries doing well in terms of economy need to give that kind of importance and support to the other countries which require that assistance in the real sense. From the Indian perspective, of course, there is this lot of developmental work that has been carried out in the countries of the region. So far, about 27,000 crores worth of development assistance has been provided. It's about $3.5 billion worth of projects have been given in various countries in the Indo-Pacific. So there is a constant, support and assistance provided by the government of India to all these countries. And the various initiatives that are in place, the various groupings, like Quad is another grouping, which is again very relevant for this region. We have seen even yesterday the FMs of the Quad countries having those great discussions. So these are interesting times. We have just come out of the pandemic. We have seen how much of importance disruption of a global supply chain, maybe by concentration of, say, critical minerals in one particular country, can have to the rest of the countries in the region, or a particular sector being concentrated in a region, in one particular country or a particular few countries, could lead to have a lot of impact in various other countries. So I think it's important that we do more cooperation. We kind of exchange notes. We kind of dwell in terms of expanding our cooperation, and then see that the supply chains remain up and running all the times. The food security aspects are taken care of. The fuel security, transition to energy is certainly very important. But then, as we were always just thinking that when we talk of transition to energy is very fine, but then we also need to equally focus on giving access to energy for so many millions of people. I mean, in Africa alone, how many millions do not have access to energy? I think it's a very serious thing that we do. So that's where like concepts like trilateral cooperation has come in. For example, India, France, and say UAE making a group of 3 countries to undertake projects in Africa, for example. India and UK doing it in Africa, or India and Australia doing it in Pacific, like that. So there are various trilateral kind of initiatives. Also, there's this recent initiative which was launched last year again. This I2U2, just India, Israel, US, and UAE grouping. Again, this focuses on economic projects which actually impact the lives in the ground. So we have like food corridor project. identified for it. We have a hybrid renewable come battery storage project. It's a very interesting project because we all are focusing on renewable energy a lot in terms of solar or wind or hydro energy. But then this challenge comes in terms of having it 24/7 storage. Of course, a lot of research R&D is going on in various countries of the world to have that battery storage technology available, so that when you have this energy generated, you are able to store it and then use it in on a 24/7 basis. So there's a lot of wastages of energy that take place even now due to the lack of such technology. So there are a lot of discussions, deliberations on seeing that collaboration happens in that level, in that scale, basically. So I think this can set the tone for further deliberations. We would be happy to, of course, get views of the experts. I'm happy that ORF and AFD have come out with this initiative. I think it's a 3-year project that I understand, superb. And our best wishes, and I believe that this will have some real studies and then come out with certain reports and frameworks, so that it can also add to the policy making and implementation of it in the region for the betterment of the region. Thank you very much. Yeah.